What is going on, Sky Squad? Your boy is back in the building. How y'all doing on this good Sunday? Y'all know we got to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all a disclaimer before we start this episode because I know how some of y'all be. Okay? So I'm going to state it right now, and I ain't going to ever state it again. Actually, I might need to state it at the beginning of every video from now on. Everybody on this show is messy. If you can look at the show from that lens, and if you can stop hating one character or another enough to understand that the mess is what makes the show, then you will enjoy all aspects of this show. If you can't do that, I don't want to see what has happened with Real Housewives of New Jersey happen with Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, y'all got to start watching these shows for the entertainment value and stop taking it so personally as if it is happening to you. Okay? With that being said, I right enjoyed the mess of this episode because the mess makes the show go round, to be quite honest with you. And again, I observe, I don't absorb. So also take that into account. And it's such a shame that I even have to give that disclaimer at the beginning of this show because it's still one of my favorite shows. With that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button, and like this video if you like reality TV related content. So let's get into the tea of it all. So this episode is now in my screeners, okay, it says season 5, episode 13, and the title is Forecast Sunny or Shady. Okay, now the episode description reads as thus: Kimmy and Maurice host a tasting. Trisha finds herself in the hot seat as Marcel recounts meeting with her husband. Melody announces a girls' trip, and Tisha insists that Destiny join the vacation. Melody and Sunny meet up and discuss girl code in the group. Now, the next thing that I think is very necessary for me to sort of critique is the fact that it is clear that this is a group of frenemies. Okay? I mean, that's just the bottom line. And I think what might bring this show a bit of joy is if there was an element of comic relief to mix in with the tension and the mess. Because right now, we don't really have that, in my opinion. I think that's what this show is missing, a comic relief element. Somebody that is messy, but they are so funny, like you can't help but just, you kind of almost give them a little bit of a pass for the mess. You know, a Dr. Heavenly is a great example of somebody who is in the mess, but that you just find yourself, and the people either love or hate her. Okay. But at the end of the day, to me, she's funny. Okay. Um, you look at Real Housewives of Potomac and you look at someone like Karen who can deliver slapstick comedy, but also fun shade and a little bit of mess as well. I mean, lest we forget the wig debacle. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't take it too seriously. We need that in this show. That's what I feel personally. Now, after saying that, I'm going to give this episode, I'm going to give it a 9 based on my pleasure principle. You know what I'm saying? I definitely enjoyed it. You know, if I want, you know, a little messy TV, you know what I'm saying? It's quality because it also focuses on, you know, elements of what I feel like are Black excellence. You see Black people doing business. You see the ups and downs of those businesses, as we will talk about in this episode. And for just the next 30 minutes, suspend your complete and utter disdain for a particular cast member and enjoy this ride of River Review. Okay. So the first thing that we see is Melody, and she is taking her students on a property preservation excursion. And she's also coordinating on Zoom with the students who are virtual. I'm not going to lie to you, as with most things on this show, this is an aspect of business and the real estate world that I have yet to really dive into. And I'm actually thinking about taking the course. So if anybody has taken it and you are in the business, let me know, because I think it would be an amazing thing to take to learn about. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about expanding my business. Let me tell y'all, I'm gonna do a video where I tell y'all some of my L's that I have taken in business as well. Cause it ain't all, I take a lot of L's behind the scenes that y'all don't know about. Okay, let me tell you that. But if you go to my personal channel, I talk about a lot of those L's over there because we ain't got time to get into those L's here. But this seems like a winner chicken dinner because it's needed. Okay. So I do think that she's onto something with this business. And I do think it has been one of the things that probably made her, into. I'm sure there was a lot of elements that she grew into being a boss, but I just think that this was one of those business opportunities that probably accelerated her businesses, or her business acumen, I should say. I also think that Sunni would also be a great person to also have a course as well on how to leverage TikTok to sell to your audience. I just find this show fascinating in terms of what I feel like I can get out of it and taken into my own business practices as I develop my own sort of digital asset boss university of courses and things that I feel like can truly help people. So I'm interested in that, and I'm glad they showed it. Now let's get to the mess, because the mess of it all is Melody calling Sunni. Okay, because on what planet do I think that they would actually be friends? Probably Pluto, or Jupiter, or is there a planet called Never? A universe called Nebuary? Like, in what month Nebuary? I just don't see it. But we also understand the mechanics of how the show works, and because we can see clearly that there's a desire or a plan to pull in Sunni and Moses into this group, then someone has to do it. Whether that's going to be Kimmy, whether that's going to be Melody, whether that's going to be Chris, whether that's going to be Martell. Somebody is going to have to pull this in, because we've seen that the formula works with Married to Medicine, with having an ex and a new person join the show, and what chaos ensues. That's just the nature of reality TV. So somebody's got to do it, right? Now, this new version of Sunni, because this ain't the same Sunni that I felt like we were exposed to earlier on. And it goes to show you that, people are complex individuals, and they're not all just good or bad. Now, some people you can look at and just think, I don't never want nothing to do with that person, right? Now, we see the bright side of Sunni, no pun intended, with her relationship with Kimmy and how she was there for Kimmy. We've seen a little bit, we were introduced more to the dark side of Sunni when she came in guns blazing out the gate, coming for Destiny, because Destiny did an interview where she outed the situation. I went back and I watched that interview. I didn't see to where Destiny was, dogging her out. She told her truth. From her perspective, Sunni did not like that. So then to come in and call Destiny a side chick when you was obviously friends enough with her. If you didn't know Destiny, you wouldn't know Moses. So you need to be thanking her to a certain degree. Period. So Melody, checks in with her, and she, wants to invite her to the girls' trip, but she's gonna tell her after she tells the rest of the girls. Next, Chris and Nell. They are recapping, what happened during their therapy session, with the kids and how Miss Nell ended up, it was literally a barbecue and Miss Nell was the roast. Okay. She was being fried, flambéed, and all kinds of things because she's then forced to tell the kids all the things she loves about them. That wasn't what that therapy session was supposed to be about, to be honest with you. And I agree with Nell to a certain degree. Like, we need to really get to the issue of why it is that you go from 0 to 100 with these kids versus just simply putting your foot down and saying no. And if they feel like daddy is such a good listening ear, then go to daddy and get your money. Okay? Ask your daddy. That's all I would say. You know what, sugar baby? I'm so sorry to hear that you are going through this. Mama always got a shoulder and a bosom for you to lean on. But if you want some money, go to your daddy. Period. Okay? When they somebody call from the jail cell, if that's the case, I'm just saying. Baby, oh my God, what happened? Oh no. Okay, let me go get your daddy. Okay, that's what you do now. If you know that it's you that has to be the burden of take the financial burden for them kids, why don't you start passing that responsibility on over to Chris so that you ain't got to get your blood pressure and your sugar up. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need for all that. Just say no. That's a sentence, actually. No, period, dot. Okay, you don't even have to put the period in. To be honest with you, no, can't do it. Sorry, gosh, no, no. Payroll is coming up. Can't do it. Nope. I love you, baby. But no. Okay, problem solved. So we get to the tasting that Maurice and Kimmy are hosting. And, this is where the frenemy of it all comes in. And this is where, as I told y'all before, everybody on the show is messy. And if you can live with that and you can understand that, you will enjoy it because that's the nature of reality TV. If there was no mess, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. Okay. So now that I've said that, Melody stirs up the mess. Well, Maurice stirs it up first. Maurice when Latisha comes in, you're going to basically asking, you going to behave yourself today? Because last time we had an event, you showed out. You showed your entire anus. Okay. Is you going to behave today? And Latisha gets messy and says, yeah, I mean, what we all agreed that we was gonna talk out our issues and hash things out, get it all out in the open, right? Melody and Kimmy, which basically to me was messy because it goes back to what we know has happened behind the scenes with Carlos allegedly having to have a ponderosa with these people and letting them know y'all gonna have to get along in some kind of way, get along so y'all can continue to get paid on this show. Okay. And I don't blame him. That's what they should have done with them girls in New Jersey. Now, had they done that, had somebody put their foot down and put their foot in they behind and not let them ladies over in Jersey get too big for their britches, then that show, they would still have a show in the way that they should have the show, right? Because right now we don't know what they're doing because Andy done backtrack on the reboot, based on the fan upset. And I do believe that not every show needs a reboot. Sometimes they just need a refresh or a good swift kick in the behind. So then the next bit of mess comes in. Well, Marcel, speaking of which, I told my property preservation students the other night, I said, y'all going over to black. Now, listen, I'm mad at it because if we could spread the business around, and that would make sense. We finished with this. If people coming around, if I'm coming to the property preservation, for me, I'm just telling you the reality is, for me, if I did the property preservation class and we done for the day, I'm probably going to want to head to black anyway. That's just me. If I get to black and I find that it's closed, I'm going to be like, girl, you sent me here and it's closed. Okay. But that ain't really the mess. The mess is, I send my students over there, baby, and they said it was closed. What happened, child? I'm not laughing at the fact that it's closed because I understand. Again, I tell y'all all the time. Well, I ain't tell you all the time. I'll tell you today. But you just don't know how many L's I take. Okay, how many things I get turned down for. You have to. A lot of things in business, you have to take it on the chin. You take it as a lesson learned, and you keep on pushing. That's all you can really do. You get up another day and you live to fight another day. If you live and you fight another day, that's just how it's going to be. Now, Maurice kind of, I think, gives, I don't know, I don't really understand, to be honest with you, what has happened with them getting shut down. There was some question about whether or not Melody sent millimeters. I would wager to say that if you are taking her property preservation course, there could be some likelihood that you may consider yourself a millimeter. But that has nothing to do with the price of rice if the business is closed. The fact of the matter is it's closed. And someone had to bring it up. That's what happens. The same way it happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta when Candies, had the chaos happen. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, a pow pow happened and somebody got hurt. Somebody had to bring it up. Whether it was going to be the producer or somebody on the cast. Now, given wherever they were in that process of either investigating or working with lawyers, determines on what not they can talk about with this situation, because Latisha and Marcel have talked about it themselves. Somebody was still going to probably have to bring it to the group. That's just the way reality TV works. So that's also an opportunity to get into the narrative. I can control the narrative. I'm glad you asked that question because I knew it was going to come out. We've already discussed it. I don't necessarily understand it. I've never owned an establishment. And based on what I've heard about owning restaurants and lounges, I don't ever think that I would want to. I think just understanding what my strengths are, I don't know. I would have to be a silent partner. Okay. Like silent, like in the background. Don't ask me nothing. Don't come to me with no problems. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Okay. Because I don't want to know about it. Okay. So he gives an overall explanation. Again, I don't understand it, but I mean, listen, I'm not in the restaurante business. So right now it's above my pay grade. It's above me now. So we get into the event. Okay. The event is the tasting. There's some people there that did I blink? I don't know who those people are. Some people, extra people are there. I must have blinked. Okay. I think I blinked. And so anyway, everybody's there except for Martell and Destiny. I think Destiny was invited. I don't know why she wasn't there. Maybe I think later on she said she had a date or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? So the group discusses first Destiny, Moses, and Sunni, and they're kind of filling Latisha in on the goings on, and you see everybody kind of has their opinions about it. Latisha definitely seems to be more Team Destiny because she's been training Destiny, and I think based on listening to the scenario being described, it's easy to see how one would be Team Destiny in this situation. I am still of the mindset, I don't care what anyone says. While I do think that Moses definitely had a level of responsibility to properly end things with Destiny because the waters seem muddy on how they ended, like technically. I also think that there is something to be said for I'm your homegirl. I was your producer. And I know that Sunni says I was never her friend, but to I think be communicating after you are done with filming, And to be getting together and going to birthday parties and intimate events lends itself to one thinking that you are more than just a producer, because now we are interacting beyond the producing environment. So whether you want to call it friendship, acquaintanceship, or whatnot, you have been in intimate settings with me and my person that you are now with. So you can't explain to me in any way, shape, or form that you don't owe me an explanation before you decide to make a marriage announcement. I mean, you can do what you want to do, but just don't expect me to look at you the same, or anyone to, for that matter. Now, again, I would be more open to Sunny, as I'm trying to be, if she came in with the attitude that she has now, right? Now she definitely seems a bit more demure, as everyone is saying these days, and a bit more, cautious and less bravado. And I'm gonna stomp you out like a side chick. I think it would have behooved her to take a softer approach in her coming into this group. But again, if she did, what will we be talking about? So, I mean, to a certain degree, I can't blame. I mean, I get it. I can still blame her, but I get it, right? If you don't come in strong and make an impression, but you got to make sure that this is a tough crowd, the Huntsville crowd, like the not only the cast but also the fans. So, I mean, it's gonna be a tough road for you either way. So we get into the Kimmy of it all, and whether or not Kimmy is, the question really is about loyalty, really, I think, because Kimmy has some loyalty to Sunny because Sunny was there for her when she was going through her cancer battle, which we cannot discount. But she is also trying to remain friends with Destiny. And so there's a lot of talk at the table about whether or not Sunny was in the wrong. And a lot of the ladies feel like she was. But Kimmy really holds Moses accountable mostly, right? And Mel is very quiet during this conversation because truthfully, she's not friends with Destiny at this point. So she doesn't really have a dog in this fight. Um, but she really doesn't like the fact that they're not there to defend themselves in this moment, which could be understandable. Um, I can't recall if they were invited to the event or not. Somebody remind me in the chat. I'm sure y'all will. So the next topic of conversation is Latricia and Ken and their relationship. And it really has to be sort of like, let's dig into it, because there's a couple of elements we got to talk about here that I find interesting. Does anybody else find it interesting how, I don't know if anybody else has put this together, but you know, let me ask y'all a question first. If you are in a relationship, is it okay for you and for you or your spouse to have conversations with the opposite sex via DM? Just answer the question honestly. For me, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the truth. I really do not care. The last thing that I need to be thinking about or worried about is what conversations are being had in the DM. I do not care. I don't care. I just don't think about those things, and I don't care about those things. I also am of the mindset that, thinking about my significant other, you should have a life. Okay. You having conversations makes no never mind to me. So I'm with Melody in that regard. Um, but when we look at the pattern of how these things have worked out for Latisha, it seems like a bit of a pattern. There were conversations had with Martell via the DM, and then after layers and episodes upon episodes, it finally comes out that there have been multiple invitations to Martell's house. When did these conversations occur? Were they after old boy left and went to Atlanta, or before? Secondarily, conversations with Ken were happening 2015, 16. So clearly, there was something for Latisha's ex to wonder about with Ken, which now explains a bit more why he feels like Ken was waiting in the wings. Now, again, if I go back to my original statement, I don't care what conversations are being had in the DMs. But when we look at Latisha's situation, it seems as though DMs lead to something more. Okay. So, with that being said, I just am interested to know what the timeline of the DMs between her and Martell and her and Ken and her marriage. That's what I want to know. And I want her to explain that to us thoroughly, because they don't explain it well here. And I don't think they've ever explained it very well, because now we've got a new layer to add with the timeline that they have provided in this episode. Okay. Now, the mess comes in where, because Melody feels like you can have conversations, as I believe as well. Latisha says, well, maybe that does gives Latisha and Marcel kind of get messy and say, well, maybe that does give credence to what Martell was saying about Melody having inappropriate conversations. Two different things, because we need to add context now. The appropriateness of the conversation. Just because you're having a conversation doesn't make it appropriate. But in Latisha's situation, conversations with Martell led to her either going over there or some type of intention to go there or be there. And same situation, conversations were such that if her ex wasn't around, then they were cool to talk. But when he would come back into the picture, they wouldn't talk, which means to me that those conversations had different intent other than just we cool. That's all I'm saying. So after dinner, everybody is gathered. Hear ye style. Here's a bottle of Pepsi. And girls, get your money. We are going down to, what is it, St. Thomas or something of that sort? Yes, for the girls' trip. Now, everybody's going. Now I don't know if I cannot recall if Melody said, yes, I'm inviting Sunni. But I kind of feel like if you're inviting Sunni, then I can see why Latisha would invite Destiny, which is also messy, because to be honest with you, if Sunni is there, I don't want to be there personally. Okay. And if I wasn't invited, I definitely don't want to be there personally. That's just me. I don't go nowhere that I ain't invited. Okay. But because this is a reality TV show, people got to be there that wouldn't normally be together. Okay. So everybody got to get a little messy in order to make this thing pop and to make some fireworks. Okay. All right. But I don't. I think that Latisha kind of alludes to inviting Destiny. She doesn't outright say it. I don't think I recall, but I think Melody assumed, and she seemed like, yeah, all right, okay, whatever. This a cash trip. I understand. I understand what we got to do for the show. All right. So Latisha and Kimmy meet up with Destiny, and they talk about the event, and they also talk about the fact that Kimmy has done a double date with Sunny and Moses, and I think that Destiny feels a certain type of way, which I think is understandable because it's kind of like, why is this woman and my ex infiltrating this group of friends when they don't even live here? Which is also interesting. But the other thing that we now know is that there's clearly an effort to get them a part of the cast, or at least to be on the periphery of the cast in some way, shape, or form. And so it is a tricky situation because somebody's got to do it. Um, and that's just the bottom line of it all. But Destiny has some tea of her own to spill about Latricia and how it was revealed that she has indeed been over to Mart or met up with Martell, solo dolo in some way, shape, or form. And then Letitia does the messy thing, okay, and says, Destiny, y'all, here's a bottle of Pepsi. Come on the girls' trip. It's male's trip. I know y'all ain't friends or nothing like that, but come on now, come on down to the Price is Right. Okay. And at first, Destiny's like, head to the no, no, no. But then I think she probably thought, let me get that check. Girls, get your money. Okay. And said, you know what? I'll be there. More episodes for me, baby. Okay. I don't blame it either. I go to in that regard, in TV land, I'm going. But in real life, I ain't going. No way, Jose. Okay. Now, Mel, this scene to me was hilarious for a lot of reasons. Now, Mel meets with Sunny, and she wants to let her know, fill her in that, hey, girl, nobody's feeling you right now. So I'm going to take you shopping because, girl, if they're going to talk about you, I at least want you to look good. And I do feel that way too. I mean, if I'm gonna be talked about, I mean, use the best photo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, use a good one. I mean, at least let me be dressed to the nines, right? Let me go down in flames looking good. So she is like, and I would also want somebody to do this for me. Now that I can respect. Don't put me in no situation, willingly put me in the fire and not tell me that everybody is against me. Even Kimmy. Sonny's like, well, when I met with Kimmy, we were fine. Mel is like, oh, 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 oh. Uh, you are you for certain? uh, uh, oh, what, Kimmy? Oh, girl, let me tell you, because Kimmy was very much like, not on your side. So I don't know, and Kimmy is a funny one because flashback alert, she too was very much like, it's interesting because she was very much like, in terms of me, not willing to say that Martell was a bad guy and not willing to call his side chick a side chick. So Kimmy is rich to me. The mess of it all. So I said, okay, let's see this is about to go. So at that point, you know, Mel is like, I don't want to hear nobody in this group talk about girl code because they didn't have my back when I was going through my situation, which leads me to believe that there is still some unresolved feelings about how the group has handled her and Martell and their separation. In terms of, especially the women, I think is probably what she's probably more upset about. Like, y'all supposed to be my girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would expect maybe more solidarity with that. I can't really explain to you what their thought process has been through the years. So it's very interesting to me. But I do think that that plays a part, and I think that that is an issue that probably needs to be addressed. All right. And maybe it'll get addressed at the reunion because I do think it is an undercurrent in their friendship. Truthfully speaking, to be honest with you, because I don't really see Sunny and Melody really like being good friends, I would have preferred to see Melody shopping with Shanita Foster, who will be on the trip with them, because Shanita, whether I don't know if you guys have followed her on social media the way that I have all these years. I mean, I'm sure the lady has no idea who I am, right? But I'm just saying I followed her because I think I remember her being very close or in the same circuit as like Coach Stormy, who I've also followed for years, had the privilege of interviewing when I worked in news in Miami. And I've also done the TLC thing. I did that for a little bit. I might go back to it. I really did like their products. I didn't like something that their CEO said at the time, but I love the product. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all think I should go back? Because I did like that NutriBurst, and I like the teas. Anyway, so that's just a little digression. I would have preferred to see that, but I understand if there's a desire to pull Sunny in, somebody's got to film with her. Okay, and that's just gonna be the way that it is. Now, whether you guys like it or not, I don't know. But I'm just giving you the mechanics of how reality TV works. All right. So, with that being said, listen, guys, make sure you follow my personal channel where we'll talk about travel, lifestyle, motivation, as well as finances. I talked to you about the data breach that happened, or we just found out about this past week, and what to do about it. So, tap into that video. And also, guys, remember that we have got the ebook in a day course that is currently at $97. I will be raising the price. I put it at that price for y'all, for anybody that was interested. But I'm about to raise it simply because of the fact that I put so much, there's so much there. There's so much value there. So if you want to get it, tap into it. Again, the pricing is for Skye Squad. I will still honor the discount code of Skye Squad for 20% off, just because I know some people may not have seen the videos, and then tomorrow it'll go back up. It'll go up to the regular price that it'll remain at, or at least for a little while. Okay. With that being said, if you have any questions for me, hit me up at bookings@DJRichieSkye.com. I will also do a post on my book. I did a book club yesterday, and I wanted to do a follow-up to answer some questions for people that they may have about the books, especially just little details. And so if you guys have questions about that, you can tap them in on that post that I make shortly. But outside of that, y'all have a good Sunday. Y'all know I love y'all, and I will be back in the next video.